And here we are for round one. I do think we want to play first, even though we're removal heavy. Like I said, I think we're a little light on things we can do to aggro decks. This hand is kind of awful. It does have all of our sources of mana, but it can't really do anything. We're very weak to draws that don't include action. So we've got 6 mana sources. There's 11 still in the deck. That means every third card is going to be another land. I'm going to give this a shot, although I think it's probably not a good idea. I've been toying with the idea, which I read somewhere, that people mulligan too often in Limited. And I want to see if that actually does a thing here. I would certainly keep this on the draw. Like, no questions. But like, let's say we draw a 2-drop and a 3-drop. All of a sudden, we've got a pretty good hand. Or something like a Malakir Soothsayer to keep us going. That seems realistic too. Now, if this is the green support deck that we passed, we're probably going to be dead before we get to cast anything, but that's all right. I'd say there's a decent chance we just turn 4 Malice them. Depends on what we draw, obviously, but that could be a good thing. All right, a little bird. We're not probably dead to a little bird. So I can get a maw out. I mean, this gets better later, so I probably just need to jam the maw now. I can also do it with the vestige, so I've got enough to hit next turn. Okay. I'm not unhappy to have drawn action. Like, we've drawn nothing but action since we kept. And if I have to Boulder Salvo that idiot next turn, I can. We've also got a decent curve of just play the Soothsayer and then Myers Malice with Awaken, and we can start getting some work done. This handles most ground creatures pretty well. Like, we've got both of our reality hemorrhages to take out a Shadow Gilder. You keep those shadows shadowy. You don't paint them gold or go gliding around up there. Oh, hey there, buddy. I remember you. You sucked in the last set. But I guess you're a thing now, huh? So Fall of the Titans isn't exactly the droid we're looking for. We can double exit for 2. So, I mean, we could attack here, see if they block, and then just burn out both of those. That works, right? X, 1, 2, 1, 2, and it deals 2 damage to each. Yeah, the downside is if I attack and they don't block. And I kind of don't think they would, because I could just pump this and kill it. As an instant, it lets me potentially block when they attack, but the problem is then it has the whole thing with the stuff. Like, I'm probably going to block when they attack. I guess that gets better later too, so we may as well just put something on the board. I'll take a Soothsayer and pass. Next turn is potentially looking like a good one. If they play another 2-drop, it's potentially good. What we don't want to see is some support on this glider. Like, if they play another one, that'd be great. It is your classic white-green skies deck. I can't imagine they don't attack with this. Yeah, go ahead. And you're going to have to do the thing. Because at this point, I'm not blocking. If we draw a low drop, we could also surge this out to kill both of these. We need a 2-drop to do it, though. And that would be good. Or we can just kill that and turn on the aggro. Like, if racing's what you want to do, I can hit you for more than you can hit me for. Like, why not just boulder salvo that and then hit him for 8? We could also Myers Malice them and boulder salvo and hit for 4. I mean, Myers Malicing next turn is so exciting. What happens if I surge this for 2? Let's count up our mana here. So I cast it and I can do... So next turn I could do this for 3 and kill both of those. Which I think means I just want to salvo this. Like the next turn I want to do this and then probably follow it up with the Myers Malice. So yeah, let's do the thing. I don't think I want to hit for 8. Trading 8 for 6 seems good. Yeah, especially when you've got 3 coming. Like, he can't really block on his turn, and if he misses a land, we get him. So I've talked myself into the original play. We can also potentially send a little bit of that Fall of the Titans to the face. If we need to, we've got the Blighted Fin coming up in a few turns. Alright, there's an Expedition Raptor. That makes things a little worse for us, but also a little better. How does that work, Travis? Because we can still burn the 2 flyers and hit back for a decent amount of damage. Or we could Carrier Thrall and then we'd be able to burn for 4. So we just take out both of these things. That seems really good. I think I'd like to do that. So I need to do 1, 2, 3, 4. So I can't actually pump, but we can go ahead and get an attack in. For 6, putting them to 6. If they take this and we put them to 8, they would be taking 8. Alright, so if we make this hit, right now they're going to 6. If we pump this again, they go to 4. And then we could potentially just burn this and them. Which is pretty close to dead, although not just dead. I should not have tapped the Vestige because I've basically ruined my chances of being able to do more damage. I was so locked in on the we're killing these 2 things play that I think now we'd probably still do it. Or I could just take out the 2 flyers and plan to chump. I don't hate that. I don't hate that. That'll work. There was no reason not to do that. Okay, so they're at 4. We'll do 3 here and 3 here. Burn your dudes. A much better play would have been just not to tap that, but here we are. I don't think there's a world in which I don't chump that Great Horn. Like, the only thing I can imagine they have is Planar Outburst, and we can survive that. We'll hit them to 1 afterwards. With the Myers Malice. Oh, okay, they had exactly that. Go figure. This makes our 2 reality hemorrhages lethal. It also makes the Blighted Fin able to take out something out. So they've got to have 2 blockers. Also nice to know they have a Planar Outburst in the deck. That does mean that if we hadn't blocked, we'd have lethal this turn, but I don't think you play around rares until you see them. Like now, we'll know to play around Quarantine Field and Birthing Hulk. What the hell did he keep if he's discarding Quarantine Field? Presumably something that can deal with my 3/3 land. So I'm kind of hoping we hit an isolation or a reality hemorrhage quickly. Forerunner of Slaughter would also be acceptable. That's not going to do it. That does start to do a thing. But I'm going to make you chomp. Or just kill you. Here you go. Dear Lord Baby Jesus. They've got Quarantine Field and Planar Outburst. And some relatively mediocre cards. So I definitely like our Myers Malice. We're going to want that. We're going on the draw, and we don't really, like, we have no ways to deal with enchantments. The combat tricks don't look particularly good. The Swarm Surge is kind of cute, but probably not what we need here. Like, there's really not a way to play around Quarantine Field. It's just going to kill you, and there's nothing you can do about it. I don't particularly like the Reaver Drone if a big part of their offense is the Ondu Mediocre Horn. And like even bringing in Mortuary Mire when a lot of their removal is just exiling your dudes, it isn't great. But we're certainly interested in Myers Malicing them as soon as we can. I wish I had another one of these. I would play it, or a Witness the End or something like that. But here we are. We saw white was really open. And it looks like we're playing the dude or dudette who reaped all the rewards. Maybe they'll put us on the play? I also kept a pretty craptastic hand and drew absurdly well, so I'm not going to complain that they have, you know, 2 good rares in their deck. They still have to draw them for that to do anything. This is fine. It's got a threat and 2 removal spells. It can't do much against an early start, but we can also draw things that do something. You know, draw a thing that does a thing. Wouldn't mind one of our colorless lands. Again, we're relatively light on those, so I'm not expecting this to be much more than a 3/2. But that is acceptable. May as well pretend we have Reality Hemorrhage in hand. There's no reason for them to know we don't. Alright, let's get Shrieky. Some chance we just Myers Malice them next turn. It looks like our opponent is off of green mana, which would mean we can make them discard green spells. Although having hit the Envoy, well, that does mean if I want to Myers Malice this turn, next turn I can Envoy and Boulder Salvo. I mean, this gets better when they've got less cards in hand, for sure. Like, I'm 100% playing the Soothsayer next turn. I can't kill this right now. I can kill it next turn. Next turn is Envoy and Boulder Salvo. That means Mire's Malice is now. So they probably discard some green cards that they can't cast anyway, but that means we're getting action. If they discard lands, it makes their stuff worse. So, like, we're kind of okay with that. They may not even want to trade damage here. I kind of hope they do, but if they don't, that's fine. It's a 2-for-1. Those do eventually win games of Limited. Now they've got all the colors of the rainbow, though. Hopefully they're putting really good cards on the bottom of their library. Best case scenario is he holds us back to block. He doesn't. Alright. Let's attack, get Gideon's Reproached, and then we'll jam the Envoy and the Boulder Salvo. No? Okay. Nice. So hopefully he just jams a Path Warden or something here. We can Demon's Grasp it, attack, and then depend on Madam Soothsayer to refill our hand. That's actually not a problem at all. I'm kind of okay just trading that. Like, he can't cast anything and use the ability. So I think I'm going to give him the opportunity to trade those. If he's got a combat trick, it sucks a little bit, because we're letting him get some value out of it, but you have to have another creature in play and 6 mana open before this does a thing. So us attacking this way either makes him take 3 damage or kill it anyway, and then we can resolve the Soothsayer. Once we get to 7 lands, we hold the rest of them. Because we'd like to have a color. Actually, at 6 we'd probably hold, because we could still cast the Ruin Processor. But now he's got to cast something else before he can even start to use it, and we can evaluate which of those 2 things we'd like to kill with the Demon's Grasp. So there's a couple options here. One is Demon's Grasp it, hit for 8. Now, Quarantine Field you can cast on 4, 6, and 8. So he's at 6, 7. If he's got Quarantine Field, 1 more land means he can 3-for-1 us, which would suck. But if he either doesn't have the land or doesn't have the Quarantine Field, then we can just kill this and have a terrific hit. Which I think is just what we're doing. Right now we are the aggressor. Like I said, we'll hold these extra lands because we may want to loot them away with the Flameseeker at some point. We're just basically hoping now that he doesn't slam land, Quarantine Field, eat all your dudes. Even if he does, we can kind of recover from it. I think that's exactly what's happening, though. Nope, Planar Outburst. Okay. We cannot contortion that. So I think we chillax. We've got some good draws. We need like our Oblivion Strike would be fine. Fall of the Titans, we could start to deal some damage. That may be a consideration for me to want to start playing lands so that I can make one lethal. Like right now we could burn for 3. But if I keep playing the lands out, I may not be dead before I can cast it for more. Yeah, so at this point we'll start running them out. Still, taking 5 a turn doesn't give us very long to deal with it, but I think we're okay with that. think I'd rather have him at 5 than have another card in my hand, but it's questionable. I'm going to say this is probably our last turn to do a thing. So it's good that we at least have a blocker. Depends on kind of what his removal is for that. Next turn we can Fall of the Titans for 4, which would get rid of 2 things. Yeah, we're still taking 3 here, which kind of sucks, but that's just what it is. Blighted Fin is not awful. It gives us a contortion, so we can kill that. It also means we can attack and kill him if he doesn't block. That said, if he's got a removal spell on the crackback, we're just dead, right? So we swing in, he doesn't block because we could eat that, or maybe he does, and we pump it and trade, and then we go to 5. If he doesn't block it though, I can hit him for exactly 5. So what the heck is he holding in his hand? It can't be a Quarantine Field. It could be a Gideon's Reproach. It's basically, do I think his last cards do anything? What were his last few plays? Has he missed any land drops? He cast a Warden. Like a Stasis Snare would destroy us, Gideon's Reproach would destroy us. We haven't seen either of those cards. I think since I've got options about whether he blocks or not, and a Combat Trick's going to kill me next turn anyway, like let's say I block this and kill that, and he Combat Tricks me and my guy's dead. Yeah, I think this may be my last shot to win, so I'm going to go for it. I expect he jams this guy in front of it as fast as he can because he's seen the reality hemorrhage. But he may not. Yeah, at this point we have very little choice but to do this. It does mean if he swings with both, assuming we can't finish him off, like he's got to find a point of damage from somewhere now. It could be an Expedition Raptor. Like there's a lot of cards that kill us, but him swinging with both of his dudes doesn't. We could now win with an Oblivion Strike. Yeah, he's seriously considering not attacking here, which has got to be a good sign for us. That's not a good sign. That's, in fact, a really bad sign. So if that's what's up, we're at 2, everything's lethal. Oh, we're playing this dude. So that means we've got to block, and spatially contort. Which we can do. We can also block, sack, but obviously I'd rather use the spatial contortion before we do that. It's turned out to quite an interesting end of the game here. Could also get lucky if he tries to do like a fight card or something pre-combat, but we'll see what's up. Blurp. Spaghetti arms. This does give us a lethal crackback. Even if he... No, because we can't kill a targeted creature. But, alright. So we got there with a rush of dudes, and then we're able to stabilize just enough to make Planar Outburst not kill us. I think our opponent had a better deck. All the Titans would have been nice, but I'm happy to get there and have the round 1 win. We will see you for round 2 in just a moment, my friends.